brings us to the hearing for this evening. This is RB Homes Incorporated. This has been carried from meeting to meeting, the last one being the September 15th agenda. It's a major site plan with variances for 2003, 2005 Nassau Street, Block 47.02, Lot 19. And the deadline for action was in May. It's been extended to October 7th of this year. But Mr. Solo, would you like to start us off on this?
Yes, Mr. Solo, do you swear or affirm to testify truthfully in this matter?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, and good evening. As the chair indicated, this is a major site plan application. I'll be going through a brief summary of the application tonight. I should point out the original application did have variances. Since the original submission, all of those variances have been eliminated, so there are no variances. The property itself contains 3,603 square feet. It has an existing building on it that contains 5,316 square feet. I'm going to be using the lighting plan. I'll label it PB1. This is sheet 8 in your plan, and it shows a depiction of the property. In red is the property boundary line, and in the light gray is the existing building. And then, as you can see, Nassau Street is to the north at the top. To the left and to the, west is Charlton Street. The existing building contains retail and offices on the first floor and residential uses on the second and third floor. There are a total of 6 apartments in the existing building. Surrounding uses include a number of mixed-use buildings and St. Paul's Church, located over here, both up to the north. There are offices and retails to the east and the west of the property. That's to the left and the right as you're looking at the drawing. And then there are residential properties further down on Charlton Street, and off the map a little further to the south would be Princeton University's campus as well. The existing building is listed in the Princeton Master Plan as part of a suggested historic district to be known as the Andersontown District, primarily along Nassau Street. 203, 205 Nassau is specifically listed in our master plan as a representative site for the proposed district. The property is listed as the Isaac Anderson House, circa 1760. The master plan also notes that the property is much altered, but is a rare survival from the 18th century. The site plan that we're going to talk about in a moment calls for the building to be demolished and a new 3-story building constructed using the existing footprint with the same floor area ratio. The new building will house retail and offices on the first floor. It will have 2 two-bedroom apartments on the second floor and 1 two-bedroom apartment on the third floor. In addition to the 3-story, 5,036 square foot building, the site also includes a number of additional improvements. There will be 5 air conditioning units located outside in a fenced area here. There will also be a dumpster area that is also enclosed as well. And then there's some additional landscaping as well as fencing along the east and south property line as well. And again, the proposed building has the exact same footprint as the existing, and there's a reason for that. Under the former borough ordinance, section 17A403, it permits any legally existing structure to be reconstructed to the same FAR, floor area ratio, and when reconstruction occurs, only that amount of off-street parking originally provided shall be required. The original site did not provide any parking, so none is being proposed and is in compliance with that. And again, the FAR is a match in terms of the proposal. As I indicated in the opening comments, there are now no variances associated with this application. As part of the construction of the new building, 3 trees will be removed, and the applicant is proposing to plant 3 new trees as well as a number of shrubs to improve the landscaping of the existing building. As I indicated, a fence will be on the east and south side. That will be a 6-foot-high wood fence. There's an existing fence that's in fairly good shape along the eastern property line, and that will remain. The development results in approximately 283 square feet of new impervious surface. That's below the threshold for any kind of stormwater management. You'll see in the municipal engineer's report, he requests that all downspouts be tied into the municipal storm sewer. We received comments from some of the advisory boards, and I'll briefly summarize those. I don't see anybody from SPRAB, so let me cover those. They suggest that the retail use should not be a food establishment, that the applicant should provide a material board for all facade materials, and that given the historic place the structure has in the fabric of Nassau Street, they recommend use of natural or painted brick facade where the existing building had brick. Excuse me. They suggest that the municipal arborist should review the trees to be removed to see if they could be retained. That screening for the AC unit should be reviewed by the board's landscape subcommittee. That the applicant consider balconies for the residential units. That a bike rack be provided containing 6 spaces for bike parking. And that they increase the size of the trash enclosure to accommodate organic waste. The Environmental Commission had a number of suggestions as well. They're outlined in their report in more detail. I'm just going to go over those briefly. They asked that the applicant consider a green roof or providing solar on the roof, that the applicant should store the topsoil off-site to protect the existing trees, that the applicant provided protected bike parking, that adequate space be provided for all waste management, that an electric vehicle charging station be provided, that showers and lockers be provided for employees who might commute by bike, that the applicant use energy efficient appliances, and that he submitted an indoor air quality plan. They've suggested the applicant reaches 50% of construction waste being recycled. They suggest that the applicant use FSC lumber, and that green building materials be used for the finishes and any building materials, and that the applicant avoid any of the red list materials that are listed in the PEC report. Our Traffic Safety Committee reviewed an earlier version of this plan where there was some parking provided, and their comments focused on concerns with cars backing out. That no longer applies with this current application. The board received 2 reports from the Historic Preservation Commission. The first was dated May 3rd of this year and indicates that they strongly object to the demolition, and they provided a summary of the historic significance of the building. The second report, dated August 2nd, recommends that the board hire a structural engineer. We have done that. John Harrison from Harrison Hammett is hiding out in the back, I think. And he can, you should have all received his report. And I thought, Madam Chair, if it's all right, after we go through the staff reports and the committee reports, we might want to bring John up and have him summarize his report as well. With me tonight is Derek Bridger, our zoning officer, and sitting in for Jack West, who's still recovering from knee surgery, is Alina Ferrara, our assistant municipal engineer. I don't know if you have questions. Well, first, did I miss anything, Derek or Alina, that you wanted to add?
No, you do your job, thanks.
Thank you.
Let me swear both of you in to the extent that you join in the conversation. Do you swear or affirm to testify truthfully in this application?
Yes, sir, I do.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
That's an overview of the application. I guess before we turn it over to the applicant, I don't know if the board has questions for myself or the staff.
Yes, Mr. Carr?
I just had one question. The report suggests that there's no intensification of the need for parking with the new plan. It seems to me the distinction between multi-bedroom apartments versus single-room occupancy rooms is a really different kind of user, and that the new dwelling units are more likely to require car parking. And I'm curious whether the determination that there was no intensification of the need for parking was based on anything other than, well, anything in particular.
I think it was primarily based on two factors. One, that it's 3 total units and there were 6. And the second is that based on the 17A403, there is no requirement for parking. It specifically says that in the ordinance, that if there wasn't any, you don't need to provide it. If you had one, you need to provide one.
Okay, but
I understand your comment, and I think you're right with a 2-bedroom. They might be more affluent, and you might have more need for a car, but the ordinance doesn't speak to that.
Any other questions for Mr. Sola? Okay.
Thank you. We'll turn it over to the applicant.
Well, no, we wanted to hear from,
I didn't know if HPC wanted to comment. I know some of them are here.
let's see, I don't see anybody from any of the other committees that did reports. Did anybody from HPC want to?
Yeah, I mean, Elric Endersby is here, and he was probably the most involved in this whole discussion. So we also have some questions from Tom White, and he's here for Mr. Hamnet. So
could we maybe hear from Mr. Endersby, and then I guess I do want to hear Mr. Harrison comment briefly on his report, and perhaps Mr. White can ask the committee's questions at that point.
thank you.
So, Mr. Endersby, if you'd be sworn in and tell us briefly what you want to say about this building.
Yes, sir. Do you swear or affirm to testify truthfully? Thank you.